I get questions daily from players of all ranks asking me how they can improve and get out of their elo. Maybe you're thinking the same thing, but paused because the barrier to entry seemed too steep. Coaching is something only professionals can do, costs a lot of money, requires tons of expertise, and takes hours of time, right? Well, not so fast. So, professional coaches do add tons of value to the improvement process, but there's actually an easy to implement and straightforward method that you can use, regardless of your rank or level of experience, to start seeing improvement in only a few minutes per day. And that's what we're going to go into in today's video. But why listen to me? I'm Bach, a professional coach who helps players and teams worldwide, from Iron all the way to Challenger, improve and achieve their goals. My content is all improvement focused, covering aspects of in-game performance and decision making to out-of-game things like mindset, emotional control, and goal setting. If you're interested in improvement at all, check out any of my other videos, and I'm sure that you'll leave satisfied. Here's how it's going to go today. We're going to keep it conversational. We're going to keep it easy going, as always, in Big 2025. First, we're going to talk about the why. Like, why do you review? What are the pros and cons of review? What are the pitfalls? Then we're going to cover my big 3 rules of review. If you follow these, you're going to be on the right track. Even if you're an inexperienced player, you'll have the building blocks of how to review effectively. Then we're going to cover some common mistakes and pitfalls that players and coaches sometimes fall into. And then lastly, I'll show you some clips of in-game examples where we're going to apply these rules of review and get some value out of it immediately. So let's hop into it. Why would you review? Like, what are the upsides and downsides of reviewing? The first pro of reviewing your own gameplay is it costs $0. As we talked about before, a lot of people are like, man, I play League for fun. Like, why would I pay a ton of money? Some coaches charge upwards of $100, $350 per hour for a session. I don't care about League that much. Like, maybe I play it a lot. Well, if you review your own gameplay, it costs you exactly $0. And you'll almost never have to pay for a coach again. This is also another common misconception. A lot of players feel like, I'm gold, I don't know what I can do to improve. I have to have someone else, an outside opinion, tell me what it is that I can do to get better. And this might be the case for some people, and a coach might be able to help them, but I firmly believe that 80 to 90% of the player base does not need a coach. You also get a high return on your investment. 5 to 10 minutes of your time returns 10x value in the long term. I spoke about this in my mindset video, but we have a finite amount of time. As we grow older and we have more like responsibilities like school or work or relationships or family, we have less time to just grind League of Legends all day, every single day. So you want to make the most out of your time. If you could spend 5 to 10 minutes in between your games and then have to play 100 less games per season in solo queue to get the rank you want, that seems like a pretty worthwhile investment to me. A con is there is some effort required. With everything in life, you're going to have to give to get a little bit, right? There's nothing completely free in life. But I do want to say the amount of effort required is not Herculean. It is very doable for anyone who has, like I said, 3 to 5 or 5 to 10 minutes of time. And then the biggest hurdle, in my opinion, is going to be dealing with personal bias. What I mean by this is when you watch your own gameplay back, it can be very easy to deflect your mistakes because taking responsibility for those mistakes means admitting that you messed up. And for some people, that can feel really uncomfortable or might bruise their ego, and that's totally understandable. I'm not asking you to become Gandhi overnight and just become completely like a pacifist and chill and vibe with everything. What I am asking for you to do is understand that when you are looking at your gameplay, be aware that you might be giving yourself too much credit, and that's okay, but it is something you need to take into account. But as we said before, don't you have to be high elo to review gameplay? Well, yes, but no. So if you want to be a professional coach at the highest level, you probably should have some sort of mastery over the game. But like I said, if you're iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, you can actually get a whole lot of value just with these 3 rules I'm going to teach you right now. So these are called box 3 rules, official. I came up with the box 3 rules myself, trademarked. Rule number 1 is science. There's a big thing in high school where you learn about the scientific method. And the important thing about the scientific method is you usually start with a hypothesis. And over the course of the scientific method, you will test your hypothesis, usually multiple times, for validity. And then you'll end up at the end with some sort of answer of whether or not this hypothesis was true. As opposed to the alternative, which I feel like a lot of people do, is they will play 100 games and then by feeling or intuition or good vibes or their chakras aligning, they'll end up with something that works. Whereas if you just played 10 to 20 games with intention of a hypothesis being tested, you'll have reliable data or somewhat more reliable data to go off of here. To break it down, step 1 is you establish a hypothesis before the game. I win this matchup level 1. That's your hypothesis. You're going to test your hypothesis. Okay, well, how are you going to test it? If I win the matchup level 1, I'm going to sit in the first brush and try and zone them from the first minion wave. And then afterwards, you're going to review your findings. Like what happened and why. Maybe you succeeded in zoning them from the wave. Maybe you messed up and you walked up too close and died. Maybe you found out, oh wait, I don't win this matchup level 1. But either way, you started with something, and now at the end, regardless of your rank, regardless of your elo, regardless of your understanding, you now have some information to work with. But this is only step 1, right? So we're going to hold this rule number 1, this science thing in our mind, and then we're going to look at rule number 2. Rule number 2 is once you have your findings, you're going to pin down the level of your mistake. I split it into 3 levels here, starting with, in my opinion, the most important to the least important. Level 1 is a knowledge-based mistake. This is your incorrect information. This is, I am Malphite and I beat Darius level 1 in a fight to the death without minions, without anything, without using any abilities. This is incorrect information. This is the most important mistake because with incorrect information, it doesn't matter how good your decision making is or how good your execution is. You will reach a point where you are just playing the game wrong and you're going to get false returns. What's going to happen is you're going to make a play and sometimes it will go right and sometimes it will go wrong and you will not have any idea why that is the case. Level 2 would be a decision-making mistake. This is like the right place at the wrong time. For example, you knew that you lose to this Darius level 1 as Malphite. You're like, okay, Darius, he's a strong champion. I know I've gotten solo killed by Darius a couple times before. All right, so I know I lose to him. So I'm going to stand at my tier 2 tower level 1. For example, your tier 1 tower is in lane. Your tier 2 tower is over here by your Krugs. And then your tier 3 tower is your inhib tower. So you're going to stand right here because you lose to Darius level 1. Well, you have the right knowledge, you're just applying it incorrectly. And then level 3, this is the least important, but the overwhelming majority of what people focus on in their reviews. This is called the hands diff. This is maybe you had the right idea, you even made the decision correctly, but then you missed a skill shot or you missed an ability or you clicked too far or you did something that resulted in a mechanical mistake that made the play fail. We care about this the least because if you were to do this play 10 more times with both of these being good, there's a very high percentage chance that this would become a non-issue. It doesn't mean ignore level 3 mistakes. What I'm asking you to do here is if you make a play, like let's say you make a play and you notice that you made a mistake this level and this level, I care more about this level, but acknowledge, okay, I did make a mechanical mistake here. If I make a lot of mechanical mistakes, it's going to indicate that I need to work on my mechanics. Like this is like a practice tool thing. This is a champion mastery thing. This is maybe it's a camera control thing, but it's not as important as a level 1 or a level 2 mistake. That's rule number 2. And it follows very cleanly into rule number 3. Simple and clean, not the song from Kingdom Hearts. Players think you need to write like a master's length thesis for every VOD review. You need to spend 40 minutes in the replay file in insights.gg, in Overwolf, in Replayed, in Outplayed, or whatever recording software you use. This is not true. But why? The ideal player-led VOD review is short. It's 5 to 10 minutes maximum. It's focused. You only pick 1 or 2 main problems to identify and work on. And then it's also process-oriented. Process-oriented falls back into what we talked about here, where if we are having the right knowledge and we're executing on it with a good decision-making process, then it doesn't matter about the outcome or like the actual mechanics involved. We care more about the methodology or the process that goes into it because this is the most important part. And also, for the record, is you can have the right knowledge, make the right decision, and then even execute it correctly, but the play can still fail, but that doesn't mean it was a bad play. So let's focus on these things because these are the ones that are going to lead us to be like finding more success. So let's talk about some common mistakes that players make. Coaches do, sorry. Can't forget the coaches. A lot of times, as I mentioned before, players and coaches focus on these level 3 mistakes. Like it's 40 minutes into the game and we're fighting an Elder Dragon fight. It's the 3rd Elder Dragon of the game and 4 Barons have been taken. And oh man, dude, if my Nidalee or if I just hit this one ability, if I just hit my ult in this fight, we win the game. This says to me that you are focusing on the end outcome and a level 3 mechanical mistake over what got you there in the first place. Like what happened earlier in the game to lead it to the point where you needed a 40-minute triple Elder Dragon fight to win the game. You always, when you start with improvement, in my opinion, start with the early game because every single game you play an early game, no matter what. Even if it's an FF at 4 minutes, you will still play that early game. Obviously, you're never going to have perfect early games every single time. Like even professional players don't have perfect early games, but after you've established a pretty solid standing for your early game, then you're going to move on to the mid game because mid games happen second most frequently compared to early games. And then once we've established our good thought process from there, then we're going to move on to the late game. And if you're like, well, Bach, I usually have a pretty good laning phase. Great, then start with your mid game. Okay, Bach, my early game and my mid game are pretty good. Let's look at the late game. Well, I would gently encourage you to still spend a little bit of time looking to this because if every single game you're losing at 40 minutes, it's like the same example we just spoke about, right? There's something else going on here that is a level 1 or level 2 mistake. So make sure that we're going through all our gameplay with like a commitment to finding out what the true source of the problem here is other than just missing an ability, right? Also, I would say that spending 15 plus minutes on the same game, if you're somebody reviewing your own gameplay, is going to be a waste of time. The important thing here is we don't have infinite room in our brain to learn new things. Whenever you learn something new, you want to pinpoint 1, maybe 2 things that you want to focus on. If you pick, okay, so I played this game and I want to work on my laning phase. I want to work on my last hitting. I want to work on my wave manipulation. I want to work on my back timings and my warding and my jungle tracking. And I want to learn a new champion. And okay, what about this dragon fight? Is anybody really going to be able to work on 8 things or gain value from 8 things? And some people might say, yeah, sure. But if I ask you what these 8 things were or how you're going to improve them 15, 20 minutes later, I doubt even the best players would be able to remember enough information from these 8 points to take away meaningful value from the review. I would much rather have you spend that 5 to 10 minutes looking at 1 or 2 things and then freeing up the rest of your bandwidth of your brain to think of, okay, how can I improve these 1 or 2 things as much as possible? And then we're going to avoid anything to do with another player's actions here. This is the biggest one. I'm going to drop a video about players coping, about people complaining about their ranked teammates. I'm going to drop another one here, hopefully in the next week or so. But this is the number one thing that is going to kill your improvement. You will have players that play bad on your team. I don't care. Neither should you. It's very tilting. I understand. But is it stopping you from focusing on your own improvement? Yes. So throw it out. You don't need it. You only need to worry about yourself. And then, like I said before, avoid thinking of outcome-oriented thinking. What is this? Results-based analysis. Oh, this play went good, therefore it was a good idea. This play went bad, therefore it was a bad idea. Look at the processes behind it. Did I have a good knowledge about the play? Did I make a good decision with that knowledge? And did I do my job correctly? Well, then maybe it was actually a good play, so don't focus on the outcome as much. Focus on the process. So let's look at some examples. We are Garen in this clip. Now, some people might say, all right, wow, like that was such an easy and such a dumb mistake. Garen just needed to flash onto her and bait her W, and then great, now Garen kills her. Garen just has to dodge the Fiora parry. But if we remember box 3 levels, I would say that this is more of a level 1 or a level 2 mistake. What is your goal here as Garen? Is your goal here to kill the Fiora right now? The Fiora who has a level up on you when you have a whole minion wave in front of your tower, when you don't have teleport and you're low HP? Your goal here as Garen, your idea here is, okay, if I fight Fiora right now, and if I don't play it absolutely perfectly, I am not only going to die, I'm going to lose this entire wave of gold, and now Fiora is going to be monstrously fed. The idea here is the part of the equation that's incorrect. We can argue, like, sure, could we have played the mechanics better? Yes, but that is not what made this play incorrect, in my opinion. Here's another play. We have Kha'Zix here setting up for a dive on the low HP, low mana Hui mid lane. And he dies. And now some players might think like, wow, what an idiot. This guy canceled his E jump with flash and Hui lived. So was this a mechanical error? Of course. If Kha'Zix hits this flash E onto Hui, Hui is dead 100% of the time. But what do we notice about this play? Well, is the idea to dive here good? Like, let's go like level 1 through level 3. Level 1 is like the idea good. Low HP, target mid lane, no mana, unable to access the wave. Ahri, very good conditions. Kha'Zix full HP, has flash available on Serrated Dirk, very strong. So our level 1, the idea to dive is correct here. Now level 2, how do we implement the dive? What is the easier way to dive here? Is it easier to dive here without a minion wave? Or is it easier to dive if we just wait 5 seconds for Ahri with full HP, or sorry, with half HP and full mana to push this non-cannon wave, and then we just walk at this guy under tower. We don't even have to jump or flash. This is, in my opinion, an error of your decision making, where you had the right idea, you just failed the decision making. And then we can even say, yes, at a mechanical level, we also failed too. But I would focus on both of these, or even leaning more onto this, because if we just waited and dove with the wave, it wouldn't matter that we missed our flash E, because we wouldn't have even been put in the situation where we would have to flash E in the first place. And then finally, example number 3 here. Nice, I got a kill, but I died. Man, my team sucks. The score is 6-21 here, but I got a kill, and I'm 2-3, and I'm up CS on my lane opponent here, the Aurelion Sol. Man, it's just my inting team that's the problem. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to the very beginning. So here we are, same thing as before, level 1, 2, and 3. Let's evaluate on level 1. Is it a good idea for us to even fight here in the first place? Okay. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a big fan of high percentage plays. What's a high percentage play? It's a play that has a chance of being successful a majority of the time. In life, there is nothing that's 100%, but I would rather take an 80% chance for a play than a 50-50. And I think everyone here would be around the same page. So what things can make a high percentage chance play possible? Well, numbers advantage. Do we have numbers advantage? Our Ezreal is dead. our Graves is dead. So at the maximum, it's a 3v5. Not a good thing. Like numbers advantage, and if you've ever played CSGO or any tac shooter, you almost never opt into fights where you are at a numbers disadvantage. And then now I look at myself. Should I even be fighting here? I am a Lux without my ult. I have 1,000 gold, and I'm almost out of mana. I have enough for like maybe one full combo. I've already failed right here, level 1. If I was dyslexic, I probably played this mechanically decently. I got a kill. Like, the outcome was okay, but because my idea was incorrect here, because I failed the things that I know I should be doing. Okay, my team is dead. I have a lot of gold to spend, and I have basically no mana. I shouldn't even be fighting here in the first place, so I failed on these 2 levels. Now, what I would challenge you to do is whenever you look at your own clips or your own gameplay, look at opportunities where you are fighting as a team, or maybe where you get solo killed in lane, or you solo kill your lane opponent, and walk yourself through these 3 levels. 1, was this idea good? Are the bones of this process working? 2, did I have a good idea, but maybe I messed up the execution? Think of like the tower dive example. Or level 3, did I have a good idea? Did I have a good execution, but maybe I messed up mechanically? Like, okay, the important part now is you know which area to focus on. Level 1, this information is all on YouTube. This is like how to play this scenario, like how to play macro, how to play this champion. Like level 2 is taking this information and actually implementing it into your games. And like level 3, this is the stuff that you can practice, and you also most likely don't need a coach for, because you have one trick YouTube videos, you have practice tool, you have ARAMs, you have your own solo queue games. So if your problems are primarily here or here, then you're good, you're golden. And if you're failing here, then this might be some place where I would say, hey, find some cheap coaching, maybe have a friend look at your gameplay, or join my Discord and ask some people what they think, or me, post it in the Clips and Climbs channel, and we'll give you some honest feedback. That's it for today. Good luck in your review and good luck in your climb, and happy season 2025.